Shalom. Apostle Tahar coming back at you with this truth, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Rakah Kodash. And I'm going to entitle this video News and Prophecies and Revelation chapter 9. So I'm going to go into a couple of articles and see where the Spirit takes me. And then I want to go right into a complete breakdown, interpretation of the book of, Revelation chapter 9, because someone had asked me to break it down. Left a comment on one of my videos. Could you do a breakdown on Revelation, the book of Revelation chapter 9? So that was yesterday. I got it sometime last night. So I said, let me go ahead and do it. But before I go into it, I want to just go into this here. And I believe somebody had did a video on this, but I saw this article before he did the video. And I said I was going to do a video on it a couple of days ago, I believe. Yeah, this was put up on the 17th. So it popped up. I'm kind of Xing out certain, tabs out here. So this came up. So I said, yeah, you know what? Let me go into this. But I forget which individual did it at a GMS. Anyway, it says, era of Western dominance ending. Era of Western dominance ending. It's actually talking about really America, because that's the uttermost West. Now, Europe, the major, like the EU nations are, for the most part, like England and Spain, those places would be considered Western Europe. And now you have the Soviet Union, that's considered Eastern Europe, or Eastern Europe. So when they say West, it's really, we're talking about, England, but it's the ultimate West is America. This is the uttermost side of the earth, as the scriptures speak about. That's spoken of in a couple of places in the scriptures. It's in Acts 1, it says you will prophesy, you would teach even to the end of the earth, the uttermost parts of the earth. So the Lord told that to the disciples. So they didn't know what he was talking about. He was talking about now, this thing called reincarnation. So the men of the Lord are on the uttermost part of the earth, which is the West, which is America. So America starts with the East Coast, but it's considered the Western Hemisphere, all the way to the West Coast. The truth came out of New York, out of One West. Because when they're call themselves coming after Israelites, the number one target is One Westers, former One Westers. When Vocab Malone, he puts a video together, mostly all of his, 95% of his videos, dealing with the subject of, as he calls it, Israelism. But he only gets on the One Westers and major groups. Gets on the IUIC, the ISUPK, the GMS, and the Sakari. And that's what the Southern Poverty Law Center said. If you go to their website and you put in Israelites or Black Hebrew Israelites, they separate us, the former One Westers, from the other so-called Black Israelite groups. They make it plain. They say, well, we're not focusing on them, we're focused on the One Westers. Why? Because we tell them that this place is going down, that there's going to be a new kingdom, and in that new kingdom, all the other nations are going to play the part of slaves, and that's all throughout the scriptures. Even the commentary that I go to the Bible Hub. You put in, like I did this a couple of times. I put in Isaiah chapter 14, 1 and 2. So I went to the Bible Hub commentary, and they gave me scriptures. Well, some of the reference scriptures that they gave me were Isaiah 60, Isaiah 61. Now, if you go to those scriptures, Isaiah 60, Isaiah 61, they'll lead you, the precepts will lead you into other scriptures dealing with captivity, with dealing with the ones that the nation that took, or the nations that took down the Israelites and enslaved them, that they're going to be enslaved, that they're ultimately going to be enslaved. I mean, that's all throughout the scriptures, the Old Testament and in the New Testament. So you can't get around that. So anyway, let's go into it. It says, era of Western dominance ending. Tony Blair. This is Tony Blair. This was the former head of the UK, the Prime Minister, President, equivalent to the President of the UK. And he made that statement. Now, when somebody that's a part of this group, I'll call it, when they say that their group, the power of that group is ending, you got to listen. It says the world will be at least bipolar. Bipolar, when you look that word up, it means, simply means, two-sided. Like this, the politics of America is bipolar, you can say. You got the Democrats on one side, you got the Republicans on the other side, then you got kind of like different states, you have like a mixture of Democrats and Republicans. Like mostly the East Coast is mostly Democrats. And middle America, the Midwest is that's red country, Republican country. So this country, this system is basically bipolar. You got two sides. Let's deal with your presidents in the past. Currently, you have a Democrat. Before that, you had a Republican. What did you have before that? You had a Democrat. What did you have before Obama? You had a Republican and baby Bush. What did you have before baby Bush? You had a Democrat, which was Clinton. What did you have before Clinton, which is a Democrat? You had Papa Bush, which was a Republican. So do you mean to tell me they vote in a Republican, right? 4 years come around, 8 years come around. All of a sudden, a Democrat gets in. What happened? Did the Republicans did 100 million Republicans just drop dead, get out the race, retire, died, too young, whatever? No, this is all set up, man. So when it says bipolar, matter of fact, let's look it up. I basically told you what it meant, but let's look it up. Okay, this is just excuse this clown, this guy. Looks like he's losing weight. Hey, we've been getting on him. Yeah, that GMS been getting on me about losing weight. I better start losing weight. Unless it's an old video. And then he's prophesying with a hat on. No, I'm talking about Christ. Well, the spirit of the Messiah is a spirit of the spirit of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. I believe that's Revelation chapter 9, chapter 19. So let me look up bipolar. Give me a second. Let me do this. Do this one more time. All right, bipolar meaning. Okay, bipolar, having or relating to two poles or extremities, characterized by both manic and depressive. Well, that's, bipolar in politics. Let me do it this way. Bipolar in politics. And political science. Bipolarity means distribution of power between two countries of the world, which has the majority of the regional or global influence culturally, economically, and has the highest military powers. Now, one time you had the two world powers, which was former Soviet Union at that time, the USSR, and then you had the US. Now you have three world powers. You have the former USSR, you have the US, and you have China. But check this out. You have the former USSR, Russia, and you have China, their allies. You have on the west, you have I was going to say BRICS nations. You have the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which the EU is a part of that. The US is a part of that, the NATO, and Canada, which all of those nations are European ruled, Edomite ruled nations. And then you have a counter to NATO. And this is new, as of not too many years ago, called the BRICS nations. So that's your, that's the perfect example for the term bipolar as far as politics or world politics is concerned, right? It said polarity in political science indicates the ways in which the global powers are distributed. So the BRICS nations is a straight up threat to NATO. But what does it say? Let me go back to it. It says bipolarity means in politics, distribution of power between two countries. In this case, it's two alliances, two separate alliances, the NATO on one side. So it's not just a country, it's groups of countries. NATO on one side, as I said, and the BRICS nations on the other. Two countries or two power systems of allies of the world, which has the majority of the regional or global influence. There's a big influence coming out of China. China is getting ready to, take over Taiwan. And Taiwan, this is where you get your most of your electronics from, is Taiwan, where they make your smartphones and so forth, your laptops. Because America doesn't really produce anything. That's why they're growing weak. The only thing that they have left is the military. They said majority of the regional or global influence. Go to any store and buy something, and go to the box or the item and see where it's made from. Guarantee you 98%, 99%, maybe 95 will be made in China, and then sometimes assembled in Mexico or another country. America doesn't, what made America great was the fact that they invented things, and they produced things. And they were, I'm talking about the US, they were the biggest producer of things, the biggest exporter of things around the world. The biggest exporter now is coming out of China. Russia is known primarily for their military might. China is growing a military. So it's coming down to the wire. It says majority of the regional or global, the world, influence culturally, economically, and has the highest military powers. Russia has a great military power. China is building up a great military power, and it hasn't really proved itself. And the US is only known for their military power. That's one of the three city-states. London, England is one. They deal with the financial part of that, of those three states. Vatican City is another. And then you got US, which is the Pentagon, which is the military part. That's a city-state. DC is a city-state. Give me a second. Just took a swig of soursop. Look that up. It's bitters. And they ain't lying when they say it's bitters. There's a horrible taste in your mouth. But it's a healing agent. And so look it up. This is, by the way, I'll put a shout out for Apostle Mariam Lobby and gave it to me. Yeah, but it's hard going down. You take a swig of it. So so I said economically, culturally, economically, and has the highest military powers. Polarity in politics. political science indicates the ways in which the global powers are distributed. So pretty much the BRICS nations are pretty much checkmating the NATO nations. And these sanctions that the current puppet president made against Russia about the oils, it's backfiring because the Germans are saying, we're going to suffer, man. So now you have NATO nations making backdoor deals with BRICS nations, all right? Let me see. Let me go to BRICS. BRICS countries. And when a brick hits you over the head, it could kill you, right? Okay, so it says, what is BRICS? BRICS is an acronym that refers to the developing countries: Brazil, major big country, a lot of land, Russia, India, China, and there's more. As of in the next couple of years, there's going to be more Indians than Chinese. The population of China is over a billion. So when you're dealing with, look, they can put together an army of 10 million and sacrifice that army, and they can just put together another 10 million man army. India has over a billion people. China, over a billion people. The US, a mere 300, maybe 340 million people. So the population of China is more than 3 times the size of America. You know, and there was another news article where it said that I can look for it. Somebody can look for it and put it in the, you know, the comment section, or you know, the secondary comment section. But you got these I lost my train of thought. But anyway, they'll come back to me. Yeah, I was talking about the fact that there's only maybe 300 plus million people in America. So you can't compete. You know, you can't compete against these nations. But it'll come back to me. Please forgive me. It was updated from the original BRIC in 2010. So this is a baby. This is the new group of countries coming together as of 2010. When South Africa was invited to join the group showed great potential for economic growth. There's a lot of resources coming out of South Africa. There's a lot of resources coming out of Brazil. The muscle is Russia and China. You got a lot of manpower in India and China. So let me hit news. Okay, because you have 2 new members that put in applications for the BRICS nations. Iran is one of them. People say Iran is Iran, and Argentina. And now this guy, this current puppet president, Biden, as soon as Russia declared war against Ukraine, they said, we're not going to deal with your oil anymore. We're not going to, because they were getting oil from Russia. We didn't know about that. And then briefly, they mentioned in the news that he was going to get in contact with the people of Venezuela, which what they did was they had sanctions against Venezuela That's why the prices came down to kill the Venezuelan, the fact that they were making money off of their oil. So he has an opportunity to just go make a call, pay a visit to Venezuela, say, look, we're willing to, do business with you. And then the gas prices will go down. From what I heard, in Venezuela, the gas is, I believe, is $8 under a dime a gallon. So you can just deal with Venezuela, and you can make a high profit, even if you sell gas for $1. Do you know how this will boost this economy? These motherfuckers are fucking up. Do you know if they had a deal with, and this is global politics, man, geopolitics we're talking about. Here you got these Kemetic people trying to say, are we Kemetic? Are we this? We talking about prophetic. None of those groups, not even that clown Vocab. Vocab doesn't talk about prophecy. He doesn't talk about the end of the world. All he's concerned about is the one Westers, because he was set up. It says the corners of the multipolar world order. The multipolar world order. The BRICS nations seek to shape the end of the American one polar moment. I'm not going to read all of it. The rise of BRICS. Now, how can we get I and A in there? BRICS AI. Argentina, which is South America. So all they got to do, don't be surprised if Venezuela put in an application. And then US they're not going to have anywhere to go get oil. It said the rise of BRICS, the economic giant and military giant that is taking on the West. What does it mean by the West? What was the article? Let's come back over here. Let me do this. Let me do this. Bear with me for a minute. What does it say? The rise of BRICS. The rise of BRICS AI, the economic giant that is taking on the West. What does it mean by the West? Era of Western dominance ending. The West is talking about the European nations. Let's just say NATO, okay? The NATO nations. That represents the West. Era of Western dominance ending. Tony Blair. He's a part of West. Former Prime Minister of the UK. The world will be at least bipolar. NATO on one side, BRICS, AI on the other, and possibly multipolar, two powers of based upon these alliances, according to former UK Prime Minister. Now, the rest of the EU and NATO nations, mainly NATO, will ultimately attack EU nations, and NATO nations will ultimately attack Big Mama, which is America. That's Revelation 17. So we go into prophecies, man. It's all about prophecies. They always say, you guys are just a hate group. All you talk about is hate. You hate this and you hate. No, we're prophetic. Mostly what we go into, and that's what you're supposed to be going into. Even the Apostle Peter said that in 2 Peter 3. You can start from the 10th verse and say, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy convocation? Meaning he spoke about the destruction. Elements shall melt with fervent heat. So being that you notice, what are you supposed to be talking about? You're supposed to be talking about it. The main subject you're supposed to be into is the prophetic parts of the scriptures. You got to go into the whole scripture. You got to, high holy days come up. You got to go into that. New moons come up. You got to go into that. the Sabbath and all that, the laws. But the main focus now is prophecies because they're coming to pass. The last few prophecies before this place is taken out. It said for the first time in modern history, the East can be an equal East, meaning Russia, China, because they're the uttermost East. The East can be on equal terms with the West. The East can be on equal terms with the West. NATO, the EU, Canada, America, that's the West. The BRICS nations represent it, for the most part, the East. As the global dominance of the US and its allies comes to an end. This is coming, look this guy up. Look this guy up. Tony Blair, look him up. It says what? It says for the first time in modern history, the East can be on equal terms with the West. The East representing BRICS AI. And that's not come up with that word. Don't be stealing my lines. BRICS AI. You heard it here first. BRICS AI. As the West is NATO, as the global dominance of the US and its allies comes to an end, The scriptures speak about the end. All you got to do is do a word search on the end of the world. In Matthew 24, when it speaks about the end of the world, the word world there is, what is it? Not cosmos, not oikomene. The word is eon. And the word eon means an age, a time of rulership. That's what it means. That's what it means. Matter of fact, let's go to that. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Let's go to that. Oh, somebody asked me what a mamzer was, and I gave him the answer, and it didn't post up. So if you're listening, mamzer is simply someone that, like a sister and a brother has sex and have children. Those are mamzers. All right, it's not talking about, oh, if you are Jake, your father is Jake, and your mother's a Edomite, you're a mamzer. No, there's a phopie is going off. Mosai's not dealing with phopie. I mean, they, I give them credit for their concern, especially Shamshan. He goes into how you prep. You don't get worried. You just got to trust in the Most High, and you got to get back with following the true men in the Most High, because we're dealing with. We're not worried about that. Is there anything wrong with stocking up a little bit? Nah, you can stock up a little bit. Be concerned about that, because prices are going up. Buy things now, so you don't have to pay high prices 3 months from now. Okay, so that's a smart move. But we look, this man's going down. The Most High promised Isaiah 65, and so he promised us we're gonna eat. Okay. So now where did I say I was gonna go? Oh, I was going to Matthew 24. I'm a little all over the place, but that's the spirit. In the King, as High Priest Ariel said, in the King James version. Okay. Okay, let me go to end. Even Christians, basic Christians don't know this. Matthew 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming? Because he's going to keep he told him he's going to come back. And of the end of the world. What does it mean by the end of the world? Let's deal with the word world. And what I say, the word world is the Greek, from the Greek eon. Let's listen to it.
Strong's G165. Ion. Ion.
Ion, we say eon. Ion, eon. English way would be eon. I'm going to show you what it means. Forever. Well, our kingdom, it will be an everlasting kingdom. An unbroken age, that's our kingdom. Perpetuity, I'm sorry, of time, eternity, the world, universe. This is what it actually means. Period of time. Did not the Egyptians have a period of time? And it was taken down? Did not the Babylonians have a period of time? It was 70 years, as the prophecy speaks of. But when you go to the secular history, I believe they didn't even do the 70. It was cut short. I believe it was 67 years. So let's go. Okay, this is Matthew 13, verse 39. The enemy that soweth them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, meaning the end of this man's kingdom. And they were talking about the Roman world. What people don't understand, that NATO is Rome all over again. That's why when you go down to Washington, D.C. and you take pictures, it looks like you hopped in a time machine and went back to Rome. You had Capitol Hill and Rome. You had the seat of government was called Capitoline Hill. DC, the capital, that lot was known as Lot 666. At one time, you can find it on YouTube. I mean, on the web. Now you can't find it. So let me see here. Okay, so we're back at the BRICS nations, right? It says two new countries applied to join BRICS will add value details inside. I got to click on that. So what you're experiencing is the downfall of the West. And the BRICS nation, the BRICS AI nations will help them. Two new countries apply to join BRICS will add value details inside. The 14th BRICS Summit was held last year via video conference, and this was recent, with China playing the host, and the 15th will be in South Africa next year. Chinese President Xi Jinping hosts the 14th BRICS Summit via video link from Beijing. This was June. It's June. Ain't no microchip. It's June. Anyway, two new countries. Iran, a major country. Now, when you think of Iran being a part of the BRICS nations, one of the major BRICS nations is Russia. You have to, what should come to mind? Ezekiel chapter 38. So the U.S. cannot mess with Iran no more, because now they got it. Now this is like the other side of NATO, man. This is their NATO. This is a NATO of the East. So if the U.S. attacks Brazil, then Russia has to get involved, China has to get involved, India has to get involved. So this is coming together. This is a nice little stew coming together. Two new countries, Iran and Argentina, have applied to join the increasingly influential BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Argentina, that's your A, and Iran, that's your I. So it's BRICS AI. Grouping an Iranian official said Monday, according to news agency Reuters. So that's all I'm going to say on that. So let me go into the precepts now. Let's go to Revelation. Revelation 9. And I'm going to kind of breeze through it. I may come back and do a full breakdown if somebody else could do it. Because we went through Revelation 9, but I couldn't find it. I was looking for it. Okay, the fifth trumpet. Okay, let me, this is only kind of long, 21 verses. Giving all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushua B'Shem Rakakwadash. It says, Revelation 9, verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. We know that that's Europe. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Like I said, I'm going to breeze through it. I'm not going to go into great detail. I'll leave that to somebody else, or I may come back and do a complete breakdown. Or maybe if we have the day of atonement, because usually myself and some of the other apostles and one of the bishops, Bishop Sakaran, most likely we'll get together. If we don't go outside, we'll do it in the studio, and we might go into this in more in depth. It says, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. Because what is a scorpion's power? It's stinger, and it kills you. You see a scorpion, you want to get away from that scorpion. So what John saw was World War I fighter planes. I believe they call them dog fighters. So to him, they look like large locusts. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me give you an image. Let me give you an image right here. Yeah, I was watching this video last night. Yeah, this is a houseboat. And when you go downstairs, you're underwater. And this is what a $4 million, almost $5 million floating house. We're going to be living, we're going to be living crazy in the kingdom. The things that the Most High is going to give us. Okay, so what did I say? Oh, let me go to the dog fighters. Dog fighters. Dog fighters. Maybe it was World War II, WW1. Let's see what happens. Okay, let me go to images. Okay, World War I dog fighter. World War I dog fighter. That's why the Apostle John said they were locusts, because that's what they look like. They look like locusts. Let's go into some more pictures here. Bear with me for a minute. I'm gonna get you a good picture. They look like locusts. And he saw men inside of the locusts. He didn't really see locusts. He saw dog fighters from World War I. Third verse, and there came out of the smoke locusts, which were the dog fighters during World War I, fighter planes, upon the earth, and unto them was given power. And that's the stinger is the guns that they shot in World War I. And the U.S. got into World War I like the last 9 months of the war. That war was going on for years, and eventually the U.S. got in. So the U.S. really didn't play that much of a big part in World War I. That's European nations. And it's happening again as the scorpions of the earth have power. Scorpions can kill. These fighter planes, these dog fighters can kill too with their stingers, which is the guns they use. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, because what does a locust do? They eat grass, right? They eat vegetation. They eat grass. They eat leaves. That's why it's a plague. When locusts come, it's a plague. But now what people could do is just catch the locusts and eat them, because it's lawful to eat locusts. You can eat locusts. Albert Bivens, and I don't know if it was one Passover or every Passover that he had, they would eat the Passover meal. And Albert Bivens, and this was told to me by High Priest Ariah. He said, this guy, he said, one reason we know more proof that he's John the Baptist, Elijah John the Baptist, because he started eating some locusts. How many people do you know eat locusts? When have you gone to somebody's house for dinner and they give you a plate of locusts? You ain't gonna eat them locusts, even though you know it's lawful, because your mind is not used to it. But guess what? Albert Bivens ate locusts. So, that's another aha. He might be John the Baptist, which he is John the Baptist. Albert Bivens is Elijah and John the Baptist. He fulfilled Malachi 4, 5, and 6. Matthew, Isaiah 40, verse 3. It's also in the Apocrypha. They speak about Elijah in the Apocrypha. And it says some to the effect of bringing the 12 tribes back together. You know what? I got to look it up. In a minute. I'll look it up in a minute. Matthew's 11, that was fulfilled when he was John. Matthew's 17, read the transfiguration, as they call it. Moses on one side of the Lord, Elijah on the other. Elijah is Abba. Abba Bivens is Elijah. However you want to shake it up. But you know what? Let me do this. You know what? Let me keep reading. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Let me try it this way. I might not find it. I got to put the right wording in. Okay, the Apocrypha. Okay, this is a good one. I don't know if this is the one. It said Ecclesiastes 36:11, gather all the tribes of Jacob together. That's what the sign is all about, right? And inherit thou them as from the beginning. Okay, I believe this is it. All praises to Yahweh Shemel Shai. But this, I like this one. This is a new one, relatively new. Ecclesiastes 36, verse 11. Gather all the tribes of Jacob together. Now, that's why we have the sign. And inherit thou them as from the beginning. So it's not talking about some spiritual Israelites. It's talking about the actual descendants of the Israelites are being gathered together. So let's read on. Ecclesiastes 48, verse 10. Who hath ordained for reproof in their times to pacify the wrath of the Lord's judgment before it break forth into fury? Lest I come and smite the earth with the curse, Malachi 4. And to turn the heart of the father unto the what? Sons, and to restore the tribes of Jacob's. So who did he restore the heart of the father to the sons? Marshall, Ariah, and Yaquab. Peter, John, and James. Let me go to the context. Not the context, but the context. Okay, so Ecclesiastes 48, verse 8 to 11. Who anointeth kings to take revenge and prophets to succeed after him. Others have entered into their labor. The Most High is going to always have prophets. What did the Most High tell Elijah? Because he thought he was going to be put to death by that bitch Jezebel, because she put the order out and she got judgment. The Lord said, look, I got 7,000 men that will not bow down to the knee of Baal. So you ain't the only one. So now it's 144,000, and then the great multitude behind 144,000. You can't stop that. This is a train. You can't stop this train. You try to stop this train, you get run over. That's from a movie, Big Al. That's from Big Al. Big Al cracked me up. Who was taken up in a whirlwind, of fire. And that's Elijah, the special prophet. That's why the Lord said, among women, no one born is greater than him. And in a chariot of fiery horses, this was a UFO, who was ordained to reproof in their times, to pacify the wrath of the Lord's judgment before it break forth into fury, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse, and to turn the heart of the father onto the sons, because everything is reincarnated. Ye and your king shall go into captivity, Deuteronomy 28, verse 36. That king, for elder Mike, that king was King David, not King Solomon. And to restore the tribes of Jacob, the actual tribes of Jacob, not the spiritual tribes of Jacob, the actual tribes of Jacob. Blessed are they that saw thee and slept in love, for we shall surely live. Because our kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and forever. Okay, let me come back over here. Okay, so we read the third verse. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green tree, green thing. And this is what locusts do. Look up locusts. What do they do? What do locusts do? They eat green things. They eat vegetation. They eat mainly chlorophyll. And that's why locusts, you know what? That's why locusts are so good for you, because that's nothing but a flying, how can I say this? That's flying chlorophyll. That's nothing but chlorophyll, man. That will build you up. That's all I do all day, every day is I drink chlorophyll. I do those smoothies and those green drinks. That ain't nothing but that ain't nothing but chlorophyll, man. Neither any tree, because trees have green leaves on it, right? But only those men which have not the seal of the Most High in their foreheads. Let's say you on the earth now, right? As a man of the Lord, you wanted 144,000 hopeful elect. Guess what? If you had a great grandfather or great grandfather that fought in World War I as a Jake, or he got involved in that, because you had a lot of those Europeans, a lot of them were Jake. Nothing was going to happen to that person. No matter what, the man just don't die. Why? Because the angels preserved that man, because that man was going to have a son, and his son was going to have a son, and his son was going to have a son, and then he was going to have a son, which is you. You see how the spirit works? So there was times where the enemy had him, and there's one story of this guy that he was high on something. This was, I believe, World War I or World War II. He's from Sweden, and he was high on some drug, but they were trying to shoot this guy and capture him, and he just kept getting away. It's on YouTube. And he went into some, but see, he wouldn't have did that if he wasn't high. I forget what he was high on, but he went into the one house and it was cold. He set up a fire and he slept. And as the fire was almost ready to engulf him, the spirit would make him move and move. And then when it almost got him, he got anything he did, he took some skis and he skied, he skied. What's the word for ski? He went right past the enemy. They was shooting at him, point blank range, and they couldn't hit him. And the man never died. He was caught on enemy lines on his other side of the enemy. But he was high on this stuff. If I can remember that video, I will bring it up to you, man. I was cracking up. I mean, this dude was all in the enemy's face and they couldn't touch him. They couldn't hurt him. And then he never died. Eventually he got old and died. But if I can find that story, man, and the way they were breaking it down, I said, nah, this ain't no made up story. So that's what happened. There was guys on enemy lines and they would shoot them and somehow they wouldn't get touched because the Most High preserved them for you, okay? It says, and to them, fifth verse, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, which are the elect, but that they should be tormented 5 months. Who shall be tormented 5 months? That war is a torment. It's a torment, and a lot of people are dying horrific deaths. It said 5 months. Now, 5 months represent 5 years. Really, it was about 4 years going into the 5th year. It was 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So it was officially 4+ years, which they say 5 years. Because even after the war, there were still people fighting each other. And their torment was as the torment of scorpions. What are the scorpions? Like I said, the fighter jets. When he striketh a man. So you gotta open your mind to this. You gotta see the big picture. And in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. A lot of them had no limbs, no arms, no legs, and they would be tractioned up somewhere in some hospital. And back there, they didn't have those painkillers. They was in such pain that they just wanted to die, but they couldn't die because nurses were trying to save them. That's World War One. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold. Now you had the German army that wore these crowns, these, it was like a helmet, but some of them, according to your rank, was either gold or silver. And so these guys are wearing those helmets too, and they were wearing certain helmets on their head. And their faces was as the faces of men. So what John saw was what he only can describe as a locust with a man on top of the locust or inside the locust. What did he actually see? The Most High allowed him to see in the future. What is it? 1914, 1915, 1916, 1917, 1918, 1919. The Lord, this was amazing. This was amazing. All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. We're almost out of here. This man is done. The Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. The Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. Kal Halal Yum. All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. The Most High gave John on the Isle of Patmos. He let him see World War I, World War II, the War of Armageddon, World War III. He saw us getting beamed up into the ships, into a ship, because we're going to be beamed up into one ship. That's Yahweh Shai's ship. He saw people lining up getting the charagma. It's June. Ain't no microchip. Ain't no microchip. Now, Bishop Nate made himself look foolish and going to these different churches trying to wake them up. I got one video where they just jumped him. They started they pulled out a gun on him. They jumped him. They beat him down because that was a stupid move. The Most High wasn't with that. The Most High wasn't with them going to Philadelphia and surrounding Geno Jennings church. It backfired on them niggas, man. And guess what? All them years that this guy's been talking, making mockery of us about the charagma, he's going to have to eat his words. And Yohanan might just off himself. I see him offing himself because he made a lot of statement that's going to come back and it's going to bite him in the ass. It says, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, meaning the teeth of the bullets, okay? The hair as the hair of woman represent the scarves that they wore. And that scarf somebody put in, we did another breakdown on Revelation 9. They put the scarf over them because you had oil seeping from the plane. And it would get on them, so they would cover their faces that way. So you had to be rough. You couldn't be no weak, feminine guy to be up on them planes, man. You had to have a rough spirit on you. Like I said, if I really went into this breakdown and really got into it, this would be like a 3-hour video, Revelation 9 and 9. And they had breastplates that was a metal, as it were, breastplates of iron, because these planes were made out of metal. And the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots of many horses running to the battle. These, World War I fighter planes made a lot of noise. See, these modern planes and jets, you don't hear too much noise because they have muffler systems, like a car. Let your muffler, and this happened to me, let your muffler break open, have a hole in the muffler. You're gonna hear that noise, man. So you gotta hurry up, go to the muffler shop and have them put a new muffler in. Okay, so it says, and they had tails like unto scorpions. We read about that. And there was stings in their tails. That's talking about the the Tommy guns, the machine guns. Now in the beginning, you had Red Baron. That dude was a top devilback. He could have been a Jake. You know, he was famous for killing the enemy. Now during that time, before they had those machine guns and the gunner in the back at the tail, which is the sting of a scorpion, they actually had shotguns. So they'd be flying around and shooting people with a shotgun. And their power was to hurt men 5 months, which represent 5 years, which is World War I. And they had a king over them. And I haven't gone through this. This is a Kaiser Wilhelm II, if I'm not mistaken, which is the angel or the messenger of the bottomless pit of Europe. Because this war started with the key nation was Germany. World War II, key nation was Germany. It was a small had to declare war against the Germans. So that was a war. A bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, which is Hebrew for destroyer. But in the Greek tongue, have his name Apollyon. Apollyon meaning destroyer or to destroy. And that was Kaiser Wilhelm II. I haven't gone through this in a while, so one woe was passed, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter, the 6th trumpet, army from the east. Now these Christian Edomites, they say it's talking about the Chinese army. It's not talking about the Chinese army, it's talking about missiles. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Which are bound in the great river Euphrates, excuse me. So he doesn't say too much about the World War II, but he goes into World War. He goes into detail concerning World War I. He mentions World War II briefly, but then he goes into World War III. So when it says, saying to the 6th angel, which had so we're in between the 6th and the 7th angel. That's in Job 5:19. And we got to be out of here before the 7th angel blows his trumpet, right? It says, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. It's all, Euphrates is also mentioned in Revelation 16. So somebody can put that in the comment section. And the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the 3rd part of men. The 3rd part of men represent Esau. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. You have 3 classifications of men: the sons of God, when you go to Genesis, the 6th chapter, and the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair. That's talking about, it ain't talking about angels. It's talking about the Most High's chosen, which at that time were also known as Adamites. So you had the sons of the power, the sons of God, sons of the nations, which represent the other nations. That's another classification of men, and sons of the wicked, who are the Edomites, Esau, for to slay the 3rd part of men. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, 200 million, and I heard the number of them. So he saw these, what he saw was missiles, and that's all throughout the scriptures, those missiles. So he saw these missiles cover the sky, dark. It was a sunny day, and the sun was darkened, and the moon did not give a light, and the stars of heaven fell fell down. Those stars were missiles. He also described them as a figs falling from a tree when a mighty wind comes along. These were missiles falling on Babylon. So he saw Babylon, he saw America. It says, and thus I saw the horses in the vision. It says the number of the army. The army is not referring to angels. ISUPK said it's talking about angels. No, it's not talking about angels. It's talking about missiles. Go to Isaiah, Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 34, Joel 2, Joel 3, and the list goes on and on. 17 verse. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire. He saw missiles in the air, and of jason and the brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. It was talking about what a lion does. A lion's power is in their claws and in their teeth, mainly in their teeth. So what did he see? He saw the destructive power of the part of the missile that is called the cone, which is the warhead, which inside of the warhead are multiple warheads. The whole missile is delivery system, right? The thing that does the damage is the cone, which contains multiple warheads, which are missiles, bombs. So it's going to devastate this place. It's going to turn it into the biggest desert on the planet Earth. And this place will not be inhabited by man anymore. The only living beings in this used to be America are desert-like creatures. And out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. They're talking about the missiles, the ICBM missiles. Satan 2, that's an actual missile. Russia invented that, built that missile. It's called Satan 2. If Satan be divided against, America's Satan 1. Russia's Satan 2, right? If Satan 1 goes against Satan 2, the kingdom shall be no more. That's what the Lord said. If Satan be divided against Satan 1 and Satan 2, their kingdom is going to come to an end. And they know it. Even Biden, one of the smartest things that he ever made was when they first invaded, Russia invaded the Ukraine. Somebody asked him in the presser, they said, is the U.S. going to get, the military going to get involved? He said, oh no, we can never do that, because that would be World War III. So that's the smartest thing that man ever said. That was the spirit, and he said it clear. He didn't mumble, he didn't stutter, because the spirit made him say that. It said, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. And see, the number one group on the planet Earth, as far as the prophets of the Lord are concerned, goes, are the GMS. We're the gold standard. You see, that's why ISUPK, they say it's always talking about the angels. They ain't talking about the angels, man. And that's the 7 at 1 West never taught it that way. They always taught it was the missiles. They always broke it down that way. So we're almost finished, right? It says, by these three was the third part, Esau. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. How is he going to be the end of the world? Through these missiles. Third part of man killed Esau by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone. And how was, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me find an open tab here. I'll do it this way. Okay, blue letter. And just put in the word brimstone. All right, brimstone occurs 15 times in 14 verses. Revelation 9:17, Revelation 9:18, Revelation 14:10. This represents what? Torment with fire. That's the fire of the missiles, brimstone. Revelation 19:20, and the beast, NATO, was taken, and with him the false prophet, Roman Catholic Church, Vatican City, and all of the baby churches. That includes Geno Jennings and T.D. Jakes and all those clowns that wrought miracles before him, their technology, with which he deceived them that had received the what? The MOTB. Like I said before in my Floyd Mayweather voice, a lot of these Israelites, they're going to scramble, they're going to bug out when they find out that they're going to set up these stations for you to go and get your charagma. Then they're going to start flocking. Watch how many people. Well, at that time, they're most likely going to, do away with YouTube. They're going to cut all our accounts. So if you caught out there and you're looking for a video, you ain't going to find it. And then famine of the word, or famine of hearing the word, and them that worship his image. You take this thing, you worship in his image. The image is not talking about a Caesar Borgia, you dumb black fool. I'm talking to you, Nathan, you dumbass. It ain't talking about a picture, no fucking Caesar Borgia, man. These both were cast alive into the what? Lake of fire, a lake of fire burning with brimstone. See, that's hell. If you ain't right with the Lord, but wait a minute, the only ones that's going to go to hell, according to you clown-ass Christians, is the ones that take the MOTB. And you don't even know what that is. Vocab doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know what the MOTB is. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask him. And I'll put it on film to see if he responds. And where you at, Miguel? Where you at? Creepy Miguel, where the fuck you at, man? Where the fuck you been? I'm just bugging. But anyway, this is it, man. This is the kicker. This is the game changer right here. The M to the O to the T to the B. The charagma. That's it. You take that charagma, you're worshiping his image. That's not no Caesar Borgia. When they set up them charagma stations, they're going to say, okay, here, this is, kiss this picture right here. Bow down to it. And then, you know what? Then guess what? If that's the case, if that's the image is the white Jesus, then guess what? All you IUIC members and took the MOTB because you call on Jesus. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. That's poetic. That's poetic for the missiles engulfing this place. Revelation 20, verse 10. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophets are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Poetic for you're gonna be our slaves. You're gonna have a foot in your ass sideways at all times, except for the Sabbath and high holy days. Revelation 21:8. But the fearful and unbelieving, The fearful are the ones you that turn your back on the plow. The Most High gonna get you. You're gonna be swimming in that lake of fire. The unbelieving, the ones that left this thing because you no longer believed, and the abominable, and murderers and whoremongers. What does a whoremonger do? Monger means to sell, pimps, and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars, like you, my man, Miguel. Where Miguel? Where Miguel at? You said that this guy that killed his daughters by starvation, he was a part of, he followed Rap the News, and Rap the News was following GMS. Rap the News was he was a #1 scoffer against GMS. Shall have their part in the what? In the lake of fire, which is a Babylon the Great, which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Who's going to die in the second death? Those that are not written in the Lamb's book of life. Who's not written in the Lamb's book of life? Who are written in the Lamb's book of life? The elect. Let me come back over here. Genesis 19, verse 24. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. So what did the Most High do? He split the atom. He formed this nuclear, however you say it, scientifically, I form the light and create darkness, right? He makes things happen. So he formed this nuclear blast from the heavens. But this time, they're going to use missiles because the Most High put the spirit on scientists, mainly out of Germany. Out of Germany, they're the smartest of all the Edomites, the Temanites. That's in Isaiah. To bring this weapon. Matter of fact, let me just go to it. For you newer cats, Isaiah, what is that? 54. Verse 'I was just reading some of these, and we got to start going up. In righteousness shalt thou be established. Thou shalt be far from oppression. Thou shalt not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near thee. What is the terror? Ultimate terror, the destruction. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee, you, the prophets, shall fall for thy sake. So anybody that have come against us, you're going to fall. Behold, I have created the smith, which is the modern day smith, is a scientist. Who did they go to in the past in the ancient world for swords? They went to the smith. So who are the modern smith? The scientists, because they make these new swords, which are missiles that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Robert Oppenheimer, he quoted this old Hindu proverb, where it said in the Hindu proverb, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. So this individual, Robert Oppenheimer, one of the rich, he started crying. Look that up. I'm not going to go to it, but go to YouTube. It's all over YouTube. Put in, I believe his name is Robert Oppenheimer. And I believe he's from one of the super rich families of the Oppenheimers, which they had riches before. The Rothschilds had to come up under them. So that's one of the top super rich elite families of the world. They got that old money. They're trillionaires. Robert Oppenheimer, he started crying. because they that's when they test fired. I believe it was the I don't know if it was the ICBM. I don't know what missiles. I forget all of that. You got to go into it. But he started crying because he said that's why he quoted that Hindu proverb. I am become death, the destroyer of worlds, meaning the missiles. Meaning the missiles. So now let's come back. '18th verse again. By these three was a third part of man killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths, which was the multiple warheads. For their power is in their what? Mouth, which is the warhead, and in their tails, which is the delivery system. For their tails, it says, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to go to it. I believe it's in 2nd Ezra 16, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. It speaks about flying swords. Isaiah speaks about them being flying fiery serpents. So Isaiah saw the missiles. Ezra saw the missiles. It says their tails, the delivery system, like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. What part of the missile hurts? The cone, the warhead, which contained multiple warheads. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands. Esau around in Europe, they're still gonna be talking shit until we come around and then they're gonna challenge us. But they don't realize that we're the X-Men. We're the X-Men. Look, we're gonna have the power of Magneto, Pyro, what is this one? The Wolverine, whatever his name is. We are the X-Men, but we ain't gonna have this one power. Okay, you got power over metal. And no, we're gonna have power over everything, man. Our Lord said, "The works that I do, ye shall do in greater." Our Lord did so many works that the books, the world could not contain the books. If they recorded all the miracles that he did, and he did a lot of miracles. He did it when he was a child. Why do you think his mother, Mary, why do you think she went in the wedding and said, "Son, could you take this water? They're running out of wine." And like D.L. Hughley said, he put his hand over, he said, "Keep the party going." I don't know if y'all heard that. You should have heard that if you're Israelite. He said, "Keep the 4 kings." He waved his hand. He said, "Keep the party going." And that's what he did. He kept the party going. And they said, "This wine was better, the best wine. This is the best. Normally they sell, they have the cheap wine. How do they say it? The best wine for one part of the wedding, but you got the best wine now." Something to that effect. You got to go ahead and read it, all right? But anyway, why did Mary ask her son Yahushai, Bun Yahusap, Bun Yahudah, Bun Yasha'Allah, Bun Yahweh? Why did Mary ask him to do that? Because she saw him do those miracles, man. Watch the movie, what's the damn movie? Damn, man. And I did a video on that movie. Brightburn. Watch the movie Brightburn. That's the story of us. That's the story of us. That's one of the best movies, the 2 best Superman movies I ever seen was Brightburn and The Man of Steel. Those are the 2 best. You want to see Superman movies? Watch them 2. And out of the 2, the best one was Brightburn, because that AKA the bad Superman. He had to realize, when did he come into his power? When did he start being attracted to little girls? When did he start being inside joke? When did he get attracted to that little girl and the little girl called him a weirdo? He wasn't a weirdo, a pervert. He wasn't a pervert. He was looking for a girl. What age was he? He was 12 years old. And when he was 12 years old, Superman, Kal-El, which is a Hebrew word meaning all powerful, okay? His father's name is Jor-El, which is Yara Allah. He will see the power, and he's seen it, and he's seen the power in his son, Kal-El. Kal-El is Hebrew. Check it out. The word Kal-El in the Hebrew is what? All powerful. Kal, all. Allah, powerful. Kal, Allah. So that was the story to Israel, man. And as a child, he was summoned to that ship that was in the barn, and the ship was teaching him. And when he was 12 years old, he wanted to get a little woman, and a little white girl. She said, "He's a weirdo. He's a creep." No, he's not no weirdo. He became a man. For you other dumb bonehead fucking Israelites that got all emotional about the grape doctrine. And a lot of you guys ain't even out there no more. The Most High gonna fuck you Israelites that turn your back, you so-called prophets that turn your back on the plow. You ain't putting up videos. That's the spirit on me again, man. You're supposed to be on fire. And I'm gonna say this, I can name names too, but I'll be here all day naming names. You motherfuckers ain't putting up, the only top groups that are putting up videos that are grinding is IUIC, even though they go off, ISUPK, even though they go off, GMS, and they never go off, and Sakari, which they go off on a lot of things, but they out there grinding. That's why, I said it earlier in this video, that's why the Southern Poverty Law Center said the major groups, IUIC, ISUPK, GMS, and the Sakari. And they even gave the names of the leaders. So they're watching us, man. They know them other groups ain't no threat. You other groups that are not mentioned, they don't see you as a threat. And this is a spiritual threat. And the move that Johanna made and going on that show and going to the fucking shooting range made you look like a fucking black supremacist, man. I'm almost finished. That they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass. So we're gonna, when we come back from the heavens and we take this world over, they're gonna try us, but we're gonna turn into the X-Men on them. And each and every one of us is gonna have all the same power. We can make fire come out of our hands, out of our eyes, out of our mouth. We can call fire from heaven. You know, we can bend metal. We can get into your head. We can just make you go crazy. How about that? A whole bunch of people come after you. You put the spirit on them to kill each other. That go back to the story of what is that? The brother Gilead. Go back to the story of Gilead. Most High made them enemies fight them and kill themselves because there was what, 300 men. It says, and stone and wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. So what is this talking about? All these people that's going to run to the churches, we're going to say, nope, you're not going to the right church, and they're going to fight us, and we're going to do the do on them. Neither repented they of their murder, even to this day. Esau knew that he put us in captivity, but that was in the past. They're in denial. The great reset, the true reset is going to come through us. That's the true reset. Nor of their sorcerers, because they're witches, Isaiah 47 verse 10 on down, nor of their fornication, adultery, nor of their theft. They stole the whole world. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.